All right, I just wanted to show my final build here. Just doing some testing to make sure there's no other bugs before I release this here. But this is pretty much what it's going to look like in the end. I've updated the UI with some better fonts, so it's not quite as ugly looking as it was before. You can see on right here on the right controller where it shows you what layer you're currently working on. And then I changed my pointer to be a nice little star icon now. First thing I want to show you is the new start menu, and you can start in either the tutorial. You have options you can now change, and build mode, explore mode, or play mode. So in the options, you have the option to show your help panels. So you can turn those on or off if you don't want those on there. You can choose if you want to start in grid mode or free mode. If you're mostly building space scenes, you'll start in free mode, but all these options get saved as you go on. The tips, normally they're going to be right here. I've removed them right for right now, but it'll show them or not show them depending on if you want that. The rotation angle is the snap angle in grid mode. I prefer it to stay at 90 degrees because it just works better and everything snaps perfectly together. But if you did want to change it, you can. Also, the layer cap. There's three main layers that you work on. You work on the grid layer, which is for snapping pieces together. Then the rotation lock, which prevents things from turning upside down. They just turn on the one angle. And then the free layer, where you can turn stuff any direction you want. And you'll see how that works here in a little bit. But I give you the option to unlock those three layers so that you can make as many layers as you want. And you can have 12 grid layers and 6 free layers, or however you want to do it. The nice thing about layers is when you place an item down, if you don't want to accidentally pick it back up if you're for sure where you want it to go. So you can work on different layers to prevent that. And then just for fun, I threw in a Toon mode, which is you'll see here in a minute, which makes everything look kind of cartoony by adding in some lines around the sides of them. So I'll go to explore mode, and I'll show you a diorama that I just created today. So there it is. So it's a little bloodbath of zombies, mix of the interior rooms. Again, you can see with the Toon shader on there, it's everything's got like a black outline around it. But I used the Apocalypse pack, which has the zombies, and then these crates here, along with some of the room interior stuff, which is just walls and computers and chairs and screens. And I mixed those two together to create this zombie bloodbath here in this room. This was really fun to make. So. I've changed the rotation controls a lot, and I've really fine-tuned this to the point where wherever you have the pointer, if let's say you're pointing right over here, and you hold down the grip button on your right hand, when you press forward on the analog stick, it zooms to that exact point. So if that's where you want to zoom to and see the room at a life-size scale, that's just have to point where you want it to start. And also the rotation works the same way. Like if I want to rotate the world right here, it'll rotate around where that point is. But if I want to rotate the world right here, it'll rotate around right there. So you just use the analog. While holding down the grip button, you can move it in any direction, and then left and right rotates it, forward and back will zoom it. So really super easy controls for the viewer. And you just choose the dioramas. I'll show you. Here's another one that I made that I've really been liking, this Polygon fantasy world. So you can see I can, you know, zoom in right up here next to these guys and zoom out, and you can see the change there. One other thing, in explore mode, you can change the background if you want. So I've got a kind of a space scene set up here right now, but I can cycle through different backgrounds that I've got installed, and find out which one looks good for the scene that I'm creating. A straight black one if you don't want any background, but it also has some clouds if you want to go that route. And I prefer this background with this setting because it makes everything look a little brighter and just makes everything look the way it should do. So you can choose what background you want. Let me go ahead and close out of that mode. Also, if you have trouble reading this text with the different backgrounds, while you're in, you can cycle to any color just by holding right or left on analog stick here. So when you're in the main menu, you can choose whatever color you want for your menu options. And that way, no matter what background you have, you can find something that you can see really well and works good for you. And then it saves that again as you move between modes and when you leave the game and come back in. So that is the explore mode. Now, in the tutorial, it goes through the explore mode, and then it goes through the build mode. And the build mode again has the three layers that you can work on. So you start in grid mode, and I'll just throw together a fantasy setting here. Grab some floors, and so you can see that everything kind of snaps together. Now, this point right here, this is the center of the world, so you can snap that first point. Item kind of right there, and then whenever you load it up, you know that's going to be the center of the world. So throw in grab so some of these floors have two sides, so I'm going to use those ones. So throw together a grid of like 4 floor tiles, and you can see how these just snap right together, just super easy. Then while you're in grid layer, you flick right on the analog stick and it'll change that. If you hold down the grip button, you can scale the walls. So if you wanted to, and it works on any scale for snapping it together. So you just snap perfectly at any scale. So let's see. Now I've got my basic outline here. Let's put in I like putting in a base. One thing you can do if you can pick something up. Oops. Pick it up and then drop it again, and that resets the scale that you're working at. So now when I grab this item, it'll scale and fit perfectly right there. So I like putting a little base along the bottom of my dioramas just to give me make it look like a little base for me to work with. So next thing I'm going to add in is some furniture. Now for furniture, I'll switch over to the rotation lock. So again, you can't turn it upside down unless you can just turn it any which way there, but you can't actually put it upside down. So this will help you position your furniture. And then when you're in this mode, you can also press the B button here, and it will lock the height also. So now you're stuck to moving just to that perfect plane. Now, if you want to place a bunch of items, like place a bed, and then if you leave the height locked, you can see that the next item I select, it's at the same height. So I can quickly decorate this room with various objects that are all set to the right height, and I don't have to sit there and mess with every single object to get a good looking room here. I'll throw in my favorite table. I put that table in like every room I create. And put a clock in here, and then put in. Now, if you grab an item like this and you don't want it there, you can unlock the height, and then you can move it to where you want it. I'll just put that right there, and maybe put some books and candles above that one. Go ahead and grab some props. Now I'll zoom in on this table here because I want to put some stuff on that table. So I'll grab. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for pottery. A little quill and ink. And I'll grab some books, and these papers. Oh, side there. Get that lined up just the way I want it. Book right here, and maybe some scrolls. Now I'll scale those down just a little bit so they fit. Still looks good in my opinion. All right, so I've thrown together a room real quick. Now the 3 layers, then you have the unlocked layer, which is where you can go in and put, like if you do want to put something upside down, you can grab a fireplace and do whatever you want with it. So it's completely unlocked at that point. Not that you really want to, but maybe like a rug, you can, if you want to use that as well. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. Okay, so another option other than those 3 layers, there's grid rotation unlocked, and one other special layer is lighting. And in the lighting layer, controls are a little bit different because you hold down the secondary button and you can change the direction of the main light. But if you don't want to use the standard light, you while holding down the button to change the direction, you press X and it'll delete it. And now you have no lighting in your scene, but then you can spawn a new light, and the same way the colors worked in in the main menu, you can change the color of that light to anything you want. You can change the intensity so it's brighter. So you can have it any color you want. Now the lighting is really hard to get it to look, really good. So you shrink the range down so it's just green over this area right here. But lighting is trickier to make it look good. So I've made that an optional layer that you don't really have to use if you don't want to. So let's get rid of that light. Let's spawn one more light just as a, I'm not gonna bother with it. Okay, so then once you just switch back over to grid layer, bug I need to fix is that light guide where the light is doesn't disappear when switching off of the lighting layer. I'll fix that. But if you put like 3 lights in a room, and when you press right, it'll cycle the light guide between those 3, so you know which one you're working with. So now I can pick up that one, cycle it over here. I know I'm working with that one. That's what that is there for. I'll put a better texture on it probably. That's one last UI thing I want to clean up. So I've created a little room here in the build mode and shown off some of the controls here. The last mode is it's coming soon. It's not here yet, but what I want to do is I want to create mini games using the artwork that I come out of here, and I want to experiment with different styles of mini games. So instead of just being your typical VR game where you're in a world and you're looking around, I want to have little miniature worlds here that you're playing on, like a Diablo style game using the fantasy artwork that I've got in here, and stuff like that. So I'm going to create a little mini games. I'm just going to experiment with how things will look in this virtual like augmented reality of sorts, and that's kind of the goal here for what I want to do in the near future. Now each mini game that I bring out will expand on the build mode, and that's where most everything is. So every time a new mini game comes out, all the artwork that I have and use in that mini game will become available in the build mode for building your dioramas. So as I get more and more and more little mini games to play, it'll expand the diorama as well. And then hopefully, kind of the idea behind this is that eventually this diorama builder will also be a level editor for some of the games that you can create. Like if you want to make a little twin stick shooter zombie game, you'll be able to set up your own level and then just plop in your spawn points for your zombies, and you just have like an endless waves of zombies coming at you, and but you're playing in your own level. And various other ideas that I have for different little mini games that you can do. So that's where it's at currently, and as you can see, I've really cleaned up the interface a lot. It's starting to look a lot prettier here. I actually have a button so you can exit the game finally, and but this is what it's going to look like at release, which is going to be sometime very soon in April.